What if I told you that doing everything right with your credit, paying on time, staying consistent, being responsible, can still hurt your credit score? Sounds unfair, right? Like you're playing a game where the rules keep changing without warning. And the worst part? Most people never realize what's actually happening behind the scenes. So today, I'm going to break this down in a way that finally makes sense. Because once you understand this, you'll never look at your credit score the same way again. Let's start with the biggest myth people believe. If I pay my bills on time, my credit score will always go up. That sounds logical, but it's not how the system works. Payment history is important, yes. It makes up a big portion of your score. But it's only one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Your credit score isn't judging you based on effort. It's judging you based on patterns, risk, and behavior over time. Think of your credit score like a reputation score, not a reward system. It's not asking, did you try? It's asking, how predictable are you as a borrower? And sometimes, even positive actions can look risky depending on the context. One of the most common reasons your score drops, even when you pay on time, is something called credit utilization. This is the percentage of your available credit that you are actually using. Let's say you have a credit card with a limit of $1,000 and you spend $700 on it. That's 70% utilization. Even if you pay it off on time, the credit bureaus might have already recorded that high usage before your payment hit, and high utilization signals risk. It tells lenders this person might be relying heavily on credit. So imagine this. You use your card a lot this month. You pay it in full. You feel responsible. But your score drops. Why? Because the system saw your balance before it saw your payment. Timing matters more than people realize. Another reason your score can drop is because of something that feels completely harmless. Closing a credit card. You might think, I don't use this card anymore, let me just get rid of it. But when you close a card, you reduce your total available credit. And when your total credit limit goes down, your utilization ratio goes up, even if your spending stays the same. So let's say you had 2 cards with a total limit of $5,000, and you were using $1,000. That's 20% utilization. But if you close one card, and your total limit drops to $2,500, now that same $1,000 becomes 40% utilization. Your behavior didn't change, but your risk profile did. And then there's the age of your credit. This one catches a lot of people off guard. Your credit history isn't just about what you do. It's about how long you've been doing it. The longer your accounts have been open, the more stable you appear. So when you close an old account, you might be shortening your average credit age. And that can quietly pull your score down. Now, here's another surprising one. Paying off a loan can actually cause a temporary drop in your score. I know, it sounds crazy. You finally finish paying off your car loan or personal loan, and instead of your score jumping up, it dips. That's because you've just closed an active account. And having a mix of different types of credit, like credit cards and installment loans, actually helps your score. When that mix changes, your score can shift. But don't get it twisted. Paying off debt is always a good thing financially. The score drop is usually temporary. It's just the system recalibrating your profile. Let's talk about credit checks, because this is another area where people get confused. When you apply for new credit, whether it's a credit card, a loan, or even sometimes a phone plan, the lender performs a hard inquiry on your credit report. 1 or 2 inquiries won't hurt much, but if you have several in a short period of time, it can signal desperation for credit. And that can bring your score down, even if you're paying everything on time. There's also something subtle but powerful called reporting cycles. Your credit score isn't updated in real time. Lenders report your activity to credit bureaus at specific times, usually once a month. So if you max out your card right before the reporting date, even if you pay it off a few days later, the high balance might still get reported. And that snapshot becomes part of your credit profile. This is why two people with the same habits can have very different scores. One understands timing, utilization, and account structure, and the other just focuses on paying on time. Now let's go deeper, because this is where it gets really interesting. Sometimes your score drops not because of something you did, but because of changes in the system around you. For example, lenders constantly update their risk models. What was considered safe behavior a year ago might be viewed differently today. So your score can shift even if your habits stay the same. And then there's the impact of other people's behavior, if you're linked to them. If you're an authorized user on someone else's credit card, their activity affects your score too. If they suddenly increase their balance or miss a payment, your score can take a hit, even if you did everything right. So what does all this mean for you? It means that managing your credit score isn't just about being responsible. It's about being strategic. You need to understand how the system sees you, not just how you see yourself. Instead of only focusing on paying on time, start paying attention to your utilization. Try to keep it below 30% and ideally under 10% if you want to optimize your score. Spread your spending across multiple cards if you have them. Pay down balances before the reporting date, not just before the due date. Be careful about closing old accounts, especially if they have a long history. Even if you don't use them often, they're contributing to your overall profile. Think of them as anchors that stabilize your credit age. And when it comes to applying for new credit, be intentional. Don't apply for multiple cards or loans at once unless you absolutely need to. Space them out so your profile doesn't look risky. Most importantly, don't panic when your score drops. A lot of these changes are temporary. Your credit score is dynamic. It moves based on data, timing, and context. One small dip doesn't define your financial future. Here's the truth most people don't hear. Your credit score is not a reflection of your worth or your discipline. It's a tool, a system, a calculation based on rules that you can learn and use to your advantage. Once you understand those rules, you stop feeling confused, and you start feeling in control. So the next time your credit score drops, even though you paid on time, you won't panic. You'll know exactly why it happened, and more importantly, you'll know what to do next. And that's the difference between people who struggle with credit and people who master it.